how
Yeah.
how we go into this and live it.
Yeah, it is about owning it now and coming back to it and being it. And I've gotten to where I just don't read much anymore because all I do, anything that last time I tried to read something, there's periodically I'll pick up a book or something like that, but to read a full book, I just find kind of the same theme. You know, it's different colored, which is cool, but the message I keep getting is you got to embody it, and which is taking me next to this part is to embody it. You actually have to have a pretty high sense of self. You know, and love yourself. You know, we hear that, but I mean, all of us in this room have different issues about loving ourselves completely.
Some of us think we do, but we really don't.
Yeah. There's areas we don't. You know, we even beat ourselves up half the time, and that beating up is what takes our immunity out. So what I'm getting at here is the immunity, the strong sense of self that actually gets you through life, that keeps you healthy, that keeps you strong, has more to do with a strong sense of I am than anything. And if the environment, if you don't have a strong sense of self within yourself, then whatever the environment's doing, whether it's a community, the government, whatever they're doing, you take as stronger than you, which means you give your power away to it. Okay, and to get back to oneness and having our own power and our own spirit fully within us, we have to be, accepting of ourselves. And sometimes that's hard because I've had two issues come up this week that perfectly fit with everything. My mom's going to be coming back to Texas. She went to Arizona. That was a whole trip, and now she's coming back. Way too much to go into detail, but she is overly sympathetic from the stuff she had experienced in her childhood with an alcoholic mother. Never felt safe. Her sympathetic nervous system is way too on. She doesn't know who she is anymore. Therefore, she does. Once she gets by herself, she freaks out. So in this particular instance, she's running from herself again. Okay, this is one of the things that we can do, right? And then she has tons of allergies, not tons of health issues, but allergies has always been something that haunted her the entire time. Allergies, oversympathetic nervous system is on. The parasympathetic cannot regenerate. The parasympathetic is where you regenerate. It's where you get your power because you need to digest the freaking food you're eating so that you can live. Overly sympathetic, everything's out in the extremities. You're trying to survive. You're not digesting what you're eating. You can't breathe in anything, and we call that allergies. It's not allergies. It's a poor sense of self, period. Okay? It's literally like you got to get cocky about it. If you want to have the life that you want, you got to get seriously cocky about it.
But it has to be congruent. The inside and the outside have to be congruent.
Well,
many of us get cocky on the outside, but we're really scared shitless.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I mean, but sometimes there's a level of you can fake it till you make it, that type of thing. I mean, it's like an affirmation. You can affirm your strength. But you got to keep doing that over and over until you beat down the weak side. I don't even like the word beat down, until you kind of like you replace that. And basically they're like little tapes, all little things we heard as kids. Somebody might as well have walked up, pushed a button, and you recorded that. And if it was recorded over and over and over, you may have a huge tape. Yeah, and the thing about that came to me one time is it'd take forever to redo all your tapes. You would never do it. So. I'm always looking, and why I'm getting stuff like this, because in the back of my mind, what my searching is doing on autopilot, whether I'm conscious of it or not, is I'm looking for something that's faster, always more direct, and to the point. And this is what it brings me now to this, over all this other stuff you've seen me share, is I think I'm getting closer with this than anything, because it does come about to the self. So if you have a strong sense of self, that overrides everything. Okay.
How about instead of redoing, let's just burn?
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. That's the word I was going to use, burn, yeah. Recording over is better than letting that sucker run, but burning the sucker is even better, yeah. Or ripping the, projector or the, makes me think of a reel-to-reel. My dad had one of those reel-to-reels, huge.
Oh, yeah.
Huge looping tape. Anyway, going back to self, is we need to have a strong sense of self to solidify our own power. Otherwise, we lose our force field, okay? And then we're being taught these things in the New Age community, which is actually coming from overly sympathetic people, is that we need to be all loving of everything and everyone and being open. And that, there's a truth to that. But there is an error when you go too much out and you don't come back to yourself. In Chinese medicine, that relates to the pericardium and the triple warmer, which are yin and yang of one another. Pericardium is a sac related to emotions and around the heart. If your blood goes out to the extremities, Don't you want it to come back eventually, right? You can't go out into the environment and then stop, okay? You can't go out to the extremities and then stop. And likewise, you can't go in and stay there either, because then you're at the polarity. You're going way too in or you're going way too out. So I'm always looking for something that fits every map that's in my head. And I've got a lot in my head. That's what takes me so long to actually work through something, because it's like, if it doesn't fit here, I'm going to throw it out. But it fits within, this fits within Chinese medicine, it fits in the feng shui, it actually fits in astrology, it fits in everything that I've played with so far. And it's all about coming back to self. You were born for a particular reason. You're supposed to love yourself just as God loves you. Whatever those terms are you buy into or yours. But what I want to experiment with is looking at problems that we have been looking at. Like I was going the digestive route, right? And you know what we did with Katie? That had some quick responses within a week. She's not having the sleep pattern that she had, right? And it changed rather quickly and dramatically, right? But what if it's even, we can even do it faster. What if we don't have to go to all the little problems? What if we don't have to go to all these little problems? And I've got a little bit of this, I've mentioned this before, but I was missing part of the picture. What if we don't have to go to all these aspects of the body? What if we don't have to go to all the systems that these reflect, like the circulatory, respiratory, whatever? What if we don't have to go to all those and address them individually, which would take for freaking ever?
I'll buy that.
What if there's something a lot quicker that masters knew?
There has to be. There's an on and there's an off switch. Look everywhere. We've got on and off switch. There's got to be an on and off switch for this.
Reset, defrag, all that stuff. Yeah.
You know, where is it and what is it?
Yeah. So I thought we'd play with that.
Okay.
And Burns texted me, and she still wants to do it. I know it can be freaky coming up in front of people. Naked. Okay.
That's what everybody else does.
But she has an overly active immune system? Is that right? Okay.
Autoimmune, yeah.
Is it like labeled something?
Sjogren's and lupus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eek. Not making enough digestive enzymes. Saliva. Those are Sjogren's.
But what's interesting, what Stephen said about Sjogren's, about not making enough digestive enzymes, doesn't that just fit what I was just talking about?
Yeah.
She's not coming back to the center where the parasympathetic governs what? Mostly the digestive system. She's too out here, which weakens this. So we can look at the digestive system and say,
But it feels good
whoa.
to help other people.
Oh yeah, it kind of does. It does. Seriously.
It does.
It does. I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I did if I didn't enjoy helping people. Of course, there's some layers of crap in there too,
But
to
you
be
also
honest.
you have to receive that.
Right, and that's where I'm coming back around to. You know, because helping people may look like, ooh, I feel so good, but there can be undercurrents of why you're doing it. And if you're not doing it for the entirely right reason, you're bleeding out into the environment. So maybe I'm helping people because I'm needing to be noticed or cared for myself.
That's that incongruency.
Yeah, and then what happens is you're not coming from a strength period, a spot. And I realized that probably about 5 years ago, the stuff I was doing with energy work was actually more powerful then, and I feel like I've lost some of that. I've gained a lot as far as knowledge goes, but I've lost some of the impact of the energetic work from my perception. And I think that was me kind of flushing out where I had what Beth saw, like the incongruence between self and not self. Because if you're thinking about everybody else besides yourself, you know that whole thing about, talk about filling your own cup before you can fill it, you literally wind up like that. That's where I was losing my power. I was like, okay, I wake up in the morning, I go, 5 drops. Okay, that'll be gone by 10. And then you're borrowing on the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And if you don't come back to yourself and regenerate and say, hey, I'm important too, then you're fucked. Seriously. I luckily caught it. I mean, there's some things I still got to pull around. It's like, feels like a ship. I got this huge ship I'm trying to turn, but it's not too late. So.
I think that's why Jesus had to go to the mountaintop sometimes, just away from everybody.
Yeah, wait for it.
Take a
Right.
break. Gotta regenerate.
Lupus. Where?
Top right.
No, it's 2 people. It looks like a penguin.
It kind of does have a penguin look to it.
It's an ink blot test. So
Yeah, back here looks like a pass.
I thought it was a pendant when I first looked at it.
It's 2 people in, and it's a relationship corner.
It's a hard thing.
Yeah.
Two people, one heart. That's what I
Okay,
There you go.
so the immune issues she have are autoimmune. And what's the difference between an out-and-out immune system issue and an autoimmune? I mean, I think they, at the core, at the very core, they go back to the same thing, but there's a difference in the medical field between an autoimmune and a regular immune issue. What is that?
Autoimmune is you're attacking yourself.
Exactly. So,
You're
autoimmune is
completely
actually, you're out here and you come back and attack yourself. Okay? So that's almost a double whammy, because the other way, at least you had some sense of identity that you were protecting, okay? But in this case, you're actually